The simplest way to put it is Canadians are pretty much drowning. We're drowning in debt. We're drowning in affordability. The cost of everything is just too much. And the government's solution is to raise taxes because it's climate change, climate change, climate change. If you go back 100 years, the government has been trying to fear-monger people, and it has always statistically been about taxes. The icebergs are melting, so you tax it. The calendar's going from 1999 to 2000, so tax it. Like, it's always about taxes. And well, you have one person, the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre, who doesn't hesitate to call out Trudeau on his bullshit rhetoric and his misuse of funds and his total incompetence. Welcome back to another video, everybody. This is going to be insane. The House of Commons goes absolutely chaotic because Pierre Poilievre doesn't hold anything back. But before we get into it, I want to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. I've compiled all of the highlights from today's question period, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, as well as just a gentle reminder that if you want your I Did Not See That Coming sticker, the link for that is down in the description or the pinned comment below. Without further ado, here we go.
8 years ago, the Prime Minister promised in his 2015 platform that he would, and I quote, repurpose all available federal lands and buildings at a low cost for affordable housing in communities where there is a pressing need.
He hasn't done it at all.
How many homes have resulted from repurposing these buildings and lands?
Good question.
Not a single one.
Mr. Speaker, in 2017, we moved forward with the National Housing Strategy, which was a direct response to the fact that for 10 years under the Conservatives, the federal government had removed itself from providing housing solutions for Canadians. Over the following years, around 2 million Canadians accessed new homes, new places to live because of the work of that National Housing Strategy. And we're continuing that work, working closely in partnership with municipalities and provinces, doing things like eliminating the GST on rental construction of new apartment buildings. These are things
that still doesn't regulate rent.
Accelerated if the Conservatives stop blocking them in this House.
Short answer, he hasn't done shit.
We're happy to cooperate. We're just looking for one little detail. There's 37,000 federal buildings representing 6.2 million square meters of space. The Prime Minister promised 8 years ago that he would repurpose some of that space to create homes. How many have been created?
Excellent. Very good talking points. Right to the bread and butter.
Like I said, Mr. Speaker, our National Housing Strategy has delivered homes for close to has supported in delivering the homes for close to 2 million Canadians. Families, but we're going to continue to do the work necessary, working with partners in municipalities and provinces on delivering housing solutions. One of those
he's caught in his lie
is eliminating the GST on new rental construction, and that's something, unfortunately, that the Conservatives can support with right now if they stop obstructing and slowing down debate on the bill that we put forward for Canadians.
That doesn't help with rent control.
Mr. Speaker, there seems to be a problem with the microphone. The Prime Minister
translation
question. There are 37,000 federal buildings, 6 million plus square meters that could be converted into housing, not to mention thousands of acres of federal land. Now, the Prime Minister agreed that that could be done because he promised it 8 years ago. So after 8 years of doubling housing costs, can he tell us how many homes have been created by repurposing federal buildings and lands? Just the number, please.
Not a single one. And watch the 30-second beating around the bush.
Over the past years, we've invested close to $40 billion to build and renovate close to 500,000 homes. That's 500,000 homes.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister doesn't need to answer it because my deputy leader did an order paper question. He asked for the government to tell us how many homes have resulted from repurposing land and buildings of the federal government. The number? 13. Not 1,300, not 13,000.
13 homes.
Speaker, that's 2 homes per year. How many millennia would it take then to build the 3.5 million homes we need for Canadians?
Oh my God! in the chat for Trudeau.
Mr. Speaker,
Oh.
the Leader of the Opposition continues to play rhetorical games. We're focused on
13.
a range of solutions
13, folks.
we need to actually solve for this housing crisis, which involves things like removing GST from purpose-built rental construction, moving forward with the rental construction financing initiative that we've been working on for a number of years now and delivering, moving forward the Housing Accelerator Fund, $4 billion for municipalities like Vaughan, like London, like the Lower Mainland,
Good.
new homes, and continuing to work on making the rental market safer for all Canadians. These are things we will continue to do because Canadians are counting on all of us.
No, you got caught in your lie, buddy.
The Prime Minister pretends that he's not in a majority coalition with the NDP, when in fact he is, and he can pass any law he wants at any time.
Yeah.
And that's why he promised a month ago that we'd have an affordable Thanksgiving. I know it was a ridiculous promise. I hate to have to hold him to something so absurd after he caused prices to rise so quickly. But it was his promise. So, will he reverse the food price inflation he caused by Monday so that Canadians can have an affordable turkey dinner? Yes.
Yo, we need it done today because turkeys are all sold out. Like, what do you mean?
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, times are difficult for Canadians right across the country, as they are difficult for people around the world. The war in Ukraine, the global inflation crisis, the after effects of the pandemic have all caused real challenges. And that's why, as a government, we've been there to support people, whether it's with the grocery support, whether it's now with the Affordable Housing and Competition in Groceries Act. Now, the problem is, Mr. Speaker, is the Conservatives chose to obstruct debate on that act, to delay it. And we call on them to help us move forward on this to make sure that Thanksgiving and future Thanksgivings are more affordable for Canadians.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
After 8 years of excuses and inflationary debt and taxes, food prices and mortgage prices are raging out of control. In fact, mortgage payments are up 150%. When the government borrows money, competes with Canadians for their mortgage rates, it drives up the cost of lending. So will the Prime Minister tell Canadians how much will his government borrow this year? How much?
We would love to know that.
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, on the one hand, Conservatives continue to call for cuts to spending and cuts to supports for Canadians, but at the same time, they say there's not enough access to housing. And they put forward a plan, a private member's bill, to tackle the problem of housing affordability. The problem is it won't build homes fast enough, it doesn't reach enough cities, and it creates unnecessary bureaucracy, Mr. Speaker, while cutting the Accelerator Fund and ripping up our agreements to build more homes with cities like London and others across the country. On this side, we're actually linking public transit dollars to housing density, working with cities to ensure their housing proposals are ambitious, and addressing the bureaucracies to slow.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was how much? You see, when the government borrows billions of dollars out of the economy, it bids up interest rates. Those interest rates have already ballooned faster under this Prime Minister than under any other in monetary history. So once again, how much, and how much will this government borrow from the economy this year? Just the number, please.
Simple question.
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to talk down Canadians and talk down the Canadian economy, we're going to continue.
This guy is smoked something before going into the House.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, our strong fiscal position. We have the lowest deficit in the G7. We have the best debt to GDP ratio in the G7. And we're one of the 3 largest countries in the world with a AAA
credit rating. Of course.
Mr. Speaker,
it's always brought up.
We have been there for Canadians, and we have been responsible stewards of the public purse, and that means we will continue to be able to support Canadians through these difficult times, including with the measures we have right now.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The bond agencies he brags about were the same ones who were charged because they falsely claimed the subprime crisis would never happen in the United States of America. Canadian households, after 8 years of this Prime Minister, are more indebted than any other country in the entire G7. And interest rates have gone up faster than at any time in monetary history after 8 years of this Prime Minister. All of this is driven by his massive addiction to borrowing.
Yes.
So the average barber or waitress knows how much they borrow. Does the Prime Minister, who's the head of a $500 billion government, even know how much he's borrowing out of the country this year?
Mr. Speaker, we see once again the Leader of the Opposition's tried and true tactics of attacking the facts when they don't suit his purposes. Mr. Speaker, the international bond rating agencies like Moody's and S&P that have ranked the top economies as AAA economies, the United States, Germany, and then Canada in the world's largest economies, have said that our fiscal plan is sustainable. As we are there to support Canadians, as we demonstrate fiscal prudence, as we support Canadians through this difficult time. Now, he can wage war on experts and the facts and demonize them all he likes, but we will keep being there for Canadians grounded in the facts.
It's not sustainable, though.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Even tell us the facts.
That's right.
Because he doesn't even know the facts. Exactly. This is a man who is going to borrow $421 billion this year. If the government bought 421 billion apples, the price of apples would go up. When they borrow $421 billion, the price of debt goes up in higher interest rates. That's why Canadians are paying 150% more on their mortgages. How much, how much will this government force Canadians to spend on national debt interest this year?
Hear, hear.
See, he breaks it down so well for people.
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
I know Canadians won't be taking any condescending economics lessons from the Leader of the Opposition.
It's not condescending, it's factual, dum-dum.
Canadians that a good way of avoiding inflation was
crypto.
That was his economic counsel to Canadians.
That's all he's got.
They would have lost almost half of their life savings. Mr. Speaker, you can understand we won't be taking any economics lessons from that guy.
Oh, he feels so tough off of that. It's so... Ellen chat for Trudeau. That was so pathetic.
Colleagues, I know that we are caught up with the passion of the debate. I ask you to always direct your comments through the chair and also...
Speaker, sit down.
Disruptive to the House. The Honourable Member...
The adults are talking.
The official opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that Prime Minister should be taking economics lessons from everyone. Everyone. This is a guy who said budgets balance themselves right before he doubled.
Yeah.
This is a guy who said he doesn't think about monetary policy right before he led interest rates to rise faster than at any time in Canadian history. This is a guy who, up until I told him, didn't even know how much he was borrowing out of the Canadian economy. This is a guy who's doubled the rent, doubled mortgage payments, and doubled the needed down payment. Mr. Speaker, it's about time he took some lessons. Why doesn't he go to the library and do a little bit of studying?
Yo! Pierre! Mic drop! W in chat, everybody! Oh! Trudeau shouldn't even stand up after that. Speaker, sit down. The adults are talking.
Colleagues, I ask us to make sure that our comments are not disruptive to the House. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to play his partisan games and focus on me, we're going to remain focused on Canadians. We move forward with an Affordable Groceries and Affordable Housing Act that they have continued to obstruct debate on. We've continued to deliver things for Canadians like dental care for low-income Canadians that they stood against. We continue to deliver $10 a day child care in places across the country that they campaigned against. They continue to to campaign against the Canada Child Benefit. We see, Mr. Speaker, they're always there to make clever political arguments. They're actually support Canadians like we are.
Good news headline. Apartment rents are on the verge of declining due to massive new supply. Unfortunately, that's a CNBC headline from the United States of America. Here's a CBC headline in Canada. Rent is going up more than $100 a month right now.
Yeah.
Another one, and the Prime Minister's favorite, the Toronto Star, that this year we're having worse construction numbers than during the lockdown. Why is construction up and rent down south of the border when it's just the opposite here in Canada?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, we know we need to build more rental constructions more quickly, and that's why we put forward a bill that removes the GST from new rental constructions across the country and on the federal side, and that is actually spurring thousands of new units to be built across the country. It's a very exciting measure, except unfortunately, Conservatives have chosen to obstruct debate on that particular measure. Why won't they line up with Canadians? Why don't they see that building housing supply is going to help Canadians right across the country? Why won't they line up with us and support Canadians across the country?
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's the one that's been obstructing that promise for the last 8 years since he made it. But since that 8-year period, the average rent has doubled. Mortgage payments have doubled. The needed down payment has doubled. It has been double trouble. And after doubling the cost, he created a $4 billion so-called accelerator to build homes. How many homes have been completed?
Like a few hundred at most.
Chers collègues, s'il vous plaît.
The adults are talking, House Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, following a request from the Minister of Housing to scale up their ambition, Vaughan's City Council passed a bold housing resolution to unlock even more affordable family-sized homes. That is a direct result of the Housing Accelerator Fund. This is a concrete example of how the federal government can lead and ensure more affordable housing options so our seniors, students, families can grow in their communities. We look forward to more municipalities joining us to ensure all Canadians have a safe and affordable place to call home.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was not how many resolutions have been passed. You can't live in a resolution. You can't live in a photo op. You can't live in a press release or a promise. He created this fund a year and a half ago, promising to, quote, accelerate housing. So how many houses have been completed? And by completed, I mean houses with walls and roofs and doors and people living in them. How many are completed? How many?
Yeah, not just investment builds. Like how many people are living in these houses.
Très honorable Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition's housing plan consists of wagging a finger at municipalities and saying, you better build more homes or else. Mr. Speaker, we have a better approach than that. We actually work with municipalities to build more homes, and we're seeing the results of that housing plan. Recently, alongside British Columbia and the City of Vancouver, the member for Vancouver Centre announced the groundbreaking of the construction of 154 new affordable housing units close to transit in the heart of Davie Village, which will also house Community, which is a non-profit organization providing safe and secure services for individuals and families living with HIV/AIDS.
Wait, what?
Chef de l'opposition.
Cannot live in an announcement. You can't live in a press release. You can't live in the Prime Minister's talking points, which he's having so much trouble reading, Mr. Speaker.
Whoa!
The Prime Minister is now presiding over a massive decline in home building. In fact, last year, Canada built fewer homes than in 1972, and this year, housing starts are down 32%. And by the way, to end the suspense, the number of homes that have actually been built by this so-called housing accelerator, zero. What? Nada. Nothing. When will he stop the talk, end the bureaucracy, and finally get something built?
de très honorable Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, over the past number of years, over 2 million families have got into homes because of our strategic investments in housing, and we just added to that with the Housing Accelerator Fund that is moving forward to remove barriers and get more housing built faster, which is exactly what we're doing, for example, with the City of London, where Mayor Morgan said this is the most significant housing investment in London history, where over the next 3 years alone, we'll build over 2,000 additional housing units in London. We know this is a challenge that we need to solve together, and that is what we're going to do in partnership with municipalities.
Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.